really appreciate that. Mr. Rosendale, I was had a whole line of questioning here that was in regards to the blatant lies that you put out in your press release on the Veterans Affairs website, but my colleague, Mr. Representative Van Orden, did such an excellent job at exposing it and his condemnation of the same. You're not going to need the button for a couple of minutes, so just relax.
Okay.
This is my turn.
Okay.
This is my turn. His condemnation of the way that you put that information out and the way that you have left it out there, scaring veterans, is an embarrassment, quite frankly. What I would like to make sure everybody's aware of, I've been doing a little bit of digging around while we had this additional time. The 2022 enacted funds for the Veterans Administration was $273.9 billion. The increase, not including ARP, to 2023 was $34.6 billion, a 12.6% increase is what the veterans were able to have utilized to provide them benefits. You, sir, did a poor job of making sure that that money was utilized to deliver benefits. Those are the realities. You had another $4.3 billion that was allocated through ARP, and you've squandered $3.8 billion of that. And now you've got $500 million that is still not spent. So we're still talking about a total of $38.4 billion that the Veterans Administration has spent more from 22 during the fiscal 23 year. And there's $500 million that has not been used that you don't feel we should be redirecting and utilizing for other purposes, whether it's to deliver real benefits to the veterans or to help the Treasury pay the bills. That is what this room finds unacceptable. I will tell you that. And as you sit there and you brag with your snide remarks about the improper payment rates that you have improved so dramatically by 76%, which is, oh, by the way, since 2017, not since 22, since 2017. That sounds like a big number, but percentages you can't put in the bank. What you can put in the bank is dollars. And that was based upon, as Representative Keith was talking about, what it was talking about, or Representative Self, you started with $12.74 billion. So we still have improper payment on $509 million. Most people in this room find that to be an extremely large number still. So please do not sit there and take credit for dramatic improvements. As we've already demonstrated, you've been there for 6.5 years and you're cleaning up your resume. I would as well. I would as well. And I would hope that there weren't many people out in television land listening to your prior performance, because I don't think a line will be forming to pick up that resume. Let me ask you about an example from the OIG report on page 8. A medical facility did an expenditure transfer totaling $714,000 for nurses' salaries. That's a perfectly valid way to spend COVID supplemental funds. The problem is, when the OIG asked for the documentation showing how much money was actually paid out and who approved it, the VA had nothing. Their response was the person who processed it retired, so they don't have any of the documents. This is no way to run a business or an agency. Polish up the resume, Mr. Rosendale. Were you able to establish whether the $714,235 or a different amount was paid out?
I have not looked in that specific case yet, no.
The COVID-19 pandemic has long been over. President Biden even recognized this reality by signing H.J. Resolution 7, which terminates the National Emergency Declaration. Despite this, the Montana VA is still enforcing an unscientific mask mandate. The Montana VA is still denying veterans care over their unwillingness to wear masks. How many veterans have had their care delayed or denied as a result of this arbitrary mandate?
I do not know, sir.
How much has the VA spent implementing and enforcing this mask mandate?
Take that for the record.
The mandate is the exact opposite of what the supplemental funds were intended to support. Do Do you think it's better to use the funds to enforce a senseless mask mandate than it is to actually use those delivering health care to our nation's heroes?
That's out of my lane. That's a healthcare question, sir.
Mr. Chair, thank you so much. I yield back.